Okay, so good day everyone. Our topic for today is about design systems, trends, and best practices. This will be our last topic for the system design and implementation. So, smart organizations like Atlassian, Dropbox, Airbnb, and Shopify invest in design systems to provide their products with consistent look, streamline the design and development process, and boosts their team productivity. So, a design system is a collection of reusable components that are coded and documented, providing transparent standards that enable designers and developers to collaborate and build coherent digital products. So, because it coincides with the overall trend of project automation, the notion has acquired substantial traction in recent years. So, design system will soon become a must-have for a company looking to create uniformity across products and maximize the capabilities of their design teams. There are four important trends and best practices for building design systems. No? So, number one, of course, is the industry trend design. No? Tools and that know how to code. No? It is necessary, or is it necessary for designers to learn how to code? That appears to be one of those questions for which no one has an answer. So, recent trends suggest that we are asking the incorrect question. Consider the rapid advancement of design tools that allow designers to concentrate on design while automatically generating code. Airbnb, for example, has built an internal workflow in which designers draw a user interface and receive the code for it in a matter of seconds. Now, Principle, one of the most popular UI prototype tools, requires practical, no coding experience. New tools like Framex X and modules can automatically convert UI patterns into React components, allowing developers to build on existing ideas rather than having to create or recreate them in production. In the coming years, tools that combine design and development workflows into a single UI will become more common, allowing designers to conceive in terms of components and design systems. This will be valuable for folks who want to learn how to use a UI system and how to create best practice design systems for an innovative projects. It's worth noting that the newcomers whose integrative approach is taking over the scene may be the ones who build the bridge between coding and design tools. Because an innovative thinkers that think in systems and consider design systems UX for an experience that keeps people happy will be the future of the design systems. So, another one is the best practice on building a design team. As more businesses become interested in creating design systems, they must reconsider how design teams are formed. Some code snippets of design components are frequently included in design system documentation. As a result, a design team should have at least one designer and one developer on board. So the more people involved in the production of a design system, the better the results are in the industry, like at NetGuru. No? Your team should ideally consist of at least two people, a designer and a developer. But it should ideally consist of five people, four product designers with varying levels of experience. Maybe two with UI and two with UX abilities. And as I mentioned earlier, a developer. Another is the rise of designs ops. No? When it comes to design themes, we'll continue to see the rise of design ops, which is the process of optimizing individual team members and entire teams work to meet high standards. Design ops is quickly becoming a must-have for mid to large size product organizations with design teams of more than 20 individuals. So the design ops officer's horizontal job, on the other hand, can assist any organization. After all, managing tools, procedures, workflows, collaborations, end-to-end employee experience, and more is all about making the business more efficient. So, in some circumstances, design ops may have a positive impact on design systems. It could be useful for teams that need to create ad hoc processes for a specific project, for example. Okay? So because each project has its own set of requirements, technical constraints, and timelines, ad hoc flows, and the use of various tools are essential. Again, design teams will benefit greatly from design ops, well-defined infrastructure, repeatable procedures, and scalable programs. Now, another is the inspiring visual styles. It's essential to keep up with a UI style guide and the many visual design system published by prominent design firms. Actually, there are two that we believe will prompt designers to reconsider their approaches to developing brand design system. Let's say, for example, UI style designs can be helpful, but you should also think about how to create an integrated system with an elements library and documentation. So you have all the tools you need to effectively reflect your product and company. A UX design can help you bring your overall approach to your user together. Again, a UX style guide can also be useful as part of a design system because it outlines to best combine UX components. Now, how about the future of design systems? We have MailChimp's design, Marvel's, and Odys design system. So the new MailChimp system reflects the company's recent design evolution. So it focuses on a web designers and developers' demands and skills. It describes the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code for every element, including custom iconography. No, its key advantages are code reusability, an uniform workflow, and code logic. No, a web designer may get started right away using MailChimp's system and swiftly produce consistent website or web apps, assuring high UI standards for web application development. The design system at MailChimp was created with the goal of presenting a framework of essential components that could stimulate creativity while retaining harmony. The system took a fresh approach to components like animation and graphics, allowing the organization's designers to express a wide range of emotion, take chances, and show off their creativity. Another one is the Marvel's design system. Aesthetics and usefulness must be balanced in functional design. It's best to keep things simple when the function is vital. Marvel's framework is intuitive and easy to use, making it a great place to start for any functional design project. Its style guide, for example, categorize, warning colors, text box variation, and animation. And this system's key feature is that it explains each piece from the perspective of a developer, UI designer, and visual designer. Its acceptability is a model for teams developing graphic design system to follow. Again, designers may create a unified design language, build a platform agnostic system, encourage change and solid reasoning, and improve cross-team communication by allowing the approach. The other one is the Odys design system. Odys design system merit special mention because it is extremely thorough, well-structured, and user-friendly. All of the elements are categorized, making it simple to browse and locate materials and documents needed during the design process. It is interactive and provides instruction with an example. Also, to help you construct a more well-rounded solutions for your company, you can check out some industry guide like to the NetGuru guide to understand the difference between a style guide and a design system. Now, new industry standard, design system is never finished. Again, design systems are constantly evolving. As evidence, through documentation and publicly accessible UI design library. So, a design system like product design is never finished. Every product iteration and contribution to UX and UI should be reflected in a design system to help your team develop a strong UI design standard and a consistent UI design language for a final product. So, user data can be used to create systems that are responsive to user needs while preserving overall consistency. So, corporate-driven design system. Again, some companies actually, that make their design system available online additionally include information about the current version and its history. So, there are some example shows actually in Salesforce and auto approach that you could able to look into their own website. Now, for many times, I always mention about what UX and UI. So, what are UX and UI in the first place? So, first thing first, what do UI and UX actually mean? So, the people you have eavesdrop on the actually discussing two professions that despite having been around the decades and in the theory of centuries have been defined by the tech industry and UX and UI design. So UX design refers to the term user experience design, while UI stands for user interface design. Again, UX stands for user experience design, while UI stands for user interface design. Both elements are crucial to a product and work closely together. But despite the professional relationship, the roles themselves are quite different, referring to very different aspects of the product development process and the design disciplines. Now, user experience design or the UX is a human first way of designing products, no? So, it encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its service, and its products. So, on the other hand, UI, or despite it being an older and more practice field, the question of what is UI or user interface design, it is difficult to answer because of its broad variety of misinterpretation. So while user experience is a conglomeration of tasks focused on the optimization of a product for effective and enjoyable use. User interface design it's in complement actually, no, the look and feel, the presentation and interactivity of the product. But like UX, UI is easily and often confused by the industries that employ UI designers to the extent that different job posts will often refer to the profession as competently different things. So, if you look at job ads and job description of user interface designer, you will mostly find interpretation of the profession that are akin to graphic design, sometimes extending also to branding design and even front-end development. If you like at expert definitions and user interface design, you will mostly find descriptions that are in part identical to user experience design, even referring to the same structural techniques. So, a user interface is the point of interaction between the user and a digital device or product, like the touchscreen on in your smartphone or touchpad you use to select what kind of coffee you want from the coffee machine. In relation to website and apps, UI design consider the look, feel, and interactivity of the product. It's all about making sure that the user interface of a product is as intuitive as possible, and the means carefully considering each and every visual interactive elements the user might encounter. So a user or a UI or user interface designer will think about icons and buttons, typography, and color schemes, spacing, imagery, and responsive design. So, like experience design, user interface design is multifaceted and challenging role. It is responsible for the transference of a product's development, research, content, and layout into an attractive, guiding, and responsive experience for the users. So, the UI design process and specific tasks that the UI designer can expect and of course is purely digital practice. No? The goal of the UI design is visually guide the user through a product's interface, and the UI design transfer the brand and strength and visual asset to the product interface, making sure the design is consistent, coherent, and aesthetically pleasing. Now, there is an analogy. No? If you imagine a product as the human body, the bones represent the code which give it structure. So, the organ represent the UX design, measuring and optimizing against input for supporting like function. And UI design represent the cosmetics of the body, its presentation, its senses, and reactions. Okay? So, based on Rahul Vashni, no, user experience or UX and user interface are some of the most confused and misused terms in our field. So, a UI without UX is like a painter slapping paint onto a canvas without thought, while UX without UI is like the frame of a sculpture with no paper mache on it. So, a great product experience starts with UX followed by UI. Both are essential for the product success. UI is a saddle, the stirrups, and reins. UX is the feeling you get being able to ride in a horse. So, it's important to understand that UX and UI do go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. However, you don't need to possess UI design skills to be a UX designer and vice versa. UX and UI constitute separate rules with separate processes and tasks. Okay, so this will be our references. But prior to that, I just want to summarize now. Again, organizations cannot afford to overlook the advantages of a design system. So, these industry trends are part of a set of best practices that will provide UI standards for a building of design system in a variety of sectors. So even if your project is already up and running, creating a design system for it is a good idea. Design systems pay out in the long term if you follow best practices. In order to produce products that resonate with users, it's necessary to have strong UX standards and UX design framework. Product managers and designers may find themselves spending a significant amount of time collaborating with external teams in order to achieve design uniformity across software. As a result, there has been a significant shift toward a tool-agnostic strategy. Design system teams can benefit from services like Specify, which provide more access to design tools while also fostering greater uniformity. So I think that's it. Thank you and good day, everyone.